Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be talking to Tammera Holmes, who is the CEO and founder of Aerostar Corp, or I know the Avion Institute. But I'm talking to her because we've known each other for years, and every time I turn on LinkedIn, she's gotten something new and amazing. The Obama Summit this year, 40 Under 40, the Illinois Aviation Hall of Fame. It's really been an amazing year, and I'm so excited for you. So, Tamara, how are you doing? How has your year been for you?
Well, my year has been, like you said, it's been pretty amazing. I Every time I turned around, I was being acknowledged or being awarded for some things, from Forbes to the TED Talk, like you mentioned, the Aviation Hall of Fame induction, and oh my God, Bessie Coleman Award, Chicago Defender Charities, a congressional recognition from Congressman Danny Davis. I spent been to Capitol Hill twice this year, just as a forerunner for the work that we're doing. So it's been an incredible year, 2017, and I'm looking forward to 2018.
Mm. Well, so what I think is really exciting in seeing all the success that you've had is I went back to you and I worked on a project, I think it was like in 2005, where it was Dynamic Women in Aviation.
That's right.
Yep. And I think you were an intern with Landrum Brown then, but I need to read you your quote back then because from what I can tell, you've made it all come true. So what you said, and there's your picture from them.
Oh, look at that.
So what you said was one key challenge facing the aviation industry is to expose the numerous careers in aviation to our nation's youth, focusing on minorities and females in an effort to increase and diversify the number of young professionals in the industry's workforce for the future.
Wow.
So from what wow is right from what I've seen, talk to me about the program you're doing because you're working with Boeing and United and all the big guys, and you've got lots of kids that are getting exposed to aviation. Tell us about that.
Well, we at first, our first programs were started in 2012 with a partnership with After School Matters, and it took 4 years to be able to get a partnership with an organization that actually believed that we could teach kids aviation at a young age. We already knew Aerostar. We had done our research and knew that it was happening in other parts of the country. But yet with United here, Southwest being the hub at Midway Airport, having the O'Hare expansion project going on, which was a $13 billion project out of O'Hare, having Boeing move their headquarters here. It was really a relationship in the making for us to be able to make sure that these companies were invested in their next generation workforce right here in Chicago. So we started out with one program. We eventually were 3 programs strong, running at 3 different locations. And with our partnership with the Boeing company, we were able to expand our programs from just the high school students through to kindergarten through 8th grade. So with the Boeing grant last year at $50,000, we started our Aerostars program, and also we did our first Aero Sparks adventure, which are for the little babies, kindergarten through 4th grade. So yes, we are teaching aviation at all ages, and the next thing for us is to start aviation workforce development apprenticeship programs, which are for the 18 to 25 age group.
Mhm. And Tamara, for this group, so you've created a curriculum in schools, which I understand was quite challenging to get that done. But talk a little bit about why it's so important to get to the kids in the schools, just based on where else they might naturally come across careers in aviation.
Well, as far as the minority demographic is concerned, they wouldn't naturally come across careers in aviation. Aviation upwards of 95 to 94% white male who are dominating the careers in aviation and aerospace and even STEM across the board. So this is a huge problem. What we've been able to do is create an ecosystem for young people interested in pursuing careers in aviation, whereas they would not necessarily know or be engaged with adults that are working in aviation as pilots, mechanics, flight attendants, or airport professionals. We actually bring those individuals in. Working with the schools hasn't been a challenge per se, because we are going through after school program providers. Our number one provider is After School Matters, and they serve over 20,000 kids with over 400 programs in the Chicagoland area. And we are one of the only STEM programs that they offer and began to offer back in 2012. We have launched the first aviation high school curriculum in Chicago, and with the $750,000 investment that was made to open a state-of-the-art flight simulator lab, and that pathway is the first of its kind in the Chicago metropolitan area to get kids graduating from high school with an associate's degree in aviation. This, again, was a dream of mine back in 2008, but they just were not able to see it happening in schools. So we went the after-school route, built the validation for the CTE pathway within the schools, and now we run after-school programs, and we have our first aviation class at Air Force Academy High School.
Wow, that is really exciting. So it's really amazing, but how does that work? So schools, not-for-profits, I know you have a background in business. How do you combine all that into a business model so that it works both for you as a professional while you're doing good in the world?
Well, when we first started Aerostar, it was founded as a for-profit consultancy to continue the work that I was doing as a professional airport planner and consultant. After a year, I switched completely over to doing aviation academic consulting, which led us into a huge dichotomy, because the work that we were doing was under a for-profit banner, but it looked like not-for-profit work. Everyone who does work with kids, it's automatically assumed that you're doing not-for-profit work. Well, we had a mission and a goal to create opportunities for young people. And with those opportunities, we found a niche where we were able to start a non-for-profit, because companies wanted to give to us to continue the work that they do and have a more integrated role in and responsibility when it comes to training up their next generation workforce. So when companies like Boeing approached us saying, how can we partner? As a for-profit, they couldn't. So we established a not-for-profit so that we would be able to build a partnership with organizations who wanted to partner with us to be able to bring aviation and aerospace education to youth in and around the Chicago metropolitan area.
And the way that you've done it is really exciting, though. I've heard your phrase, get kids high, like you'll want to take kids on plane rides, because you're a pilot as well, correct?
Yeah, I'm not a licensed pilot, but I've been a student pilot for 20 years. So I know how to fly a plane. I teach kids how to fly, but my background and my degree is in aviation management. So.
Okay. But so here's what I find interesting is that the way that you're partnering with companies, it's not just giving them the exposure of getting on a plane, but I heard you talk about dedicated internships that companies at certain donation level, they actually have a child that they sponsor with a scholarship for a future employee for that company.
So what we are all about is talent pipeline development. We have gone beyond exposing kids to careers in aviation and just showing them what jobs they would have available to them if they studied or stayed on the course of pursuing aviation. We have gone straight to education at the mastery level and training with proficiency and skill building, to where corporations are now interested in investing directly in students that would likely get on a pathway directly into their company. So instead of it being an apprenticeship program or an internship for a high school student or for a college student, we are now developing those experiences for kids as young as 8th and 9th grade. With our giving sponsorship levels, we have everywhere from $100 as a private pilot sponsorship to $500 first officer, $1,000 captain. Then you have $5,000 is, I believe, the Top Gun, and the $10,000 and above is the Aerostar marquee sponsor. So with any sponsorship, $10,000 or more, you are eligible to, you will receive a scholarship in your company's name that will be given directly to a young person graduating from high school looking to pursue a career and get a position at a company that offers the same skill set that you offer. So it's actually a segue directly into a particular employment agency where if you do aerospace engineering and you give at a certain donor amount at 10,000 or above, you will be able to give a scholarship in your company name to a young person who will most likely be able to intern with you and come back and work for you after college.
That's really exciting. With all the success that you're having with the program, I think people want to go, oh, you're so lucky. Oh, it must have been so easy with all that growth. And I see you shaking your head. Tell me just a little bit about the growth that's gotten you here.
Well, one of the things that I shared the other night at our first annual fundraiser was that even though people are really just hearing about Aerostar and the work that we do, Aerostar turns 10 years old in 2018. And so we are by no means a startup. We are no means novice or just beginning to figure out what this thing is called STEM. We were doing STEM before STEM was a word. We were doing social entrepreneurship before that title existed in the corporate arena. And so what has inspired our work and led us down this path of growth is that industry is literally just now catching up with that vision that you read in that Dynamic Women of Aviation production that we put out in 2005. The industry and the workforce right now is going to be hemorrhaging skills to the tune of 10,500 baby boomers retiring per day. Without a pipeline of talent that we are developing at the elementary and junior high and high school levels to fill those positions coming out of high school and actually train college students with employable skills that will lead them on a pathway to a career and not just the job is what we have been successful at doing. So this is a very, very, very important work. And the success is being brought about not just because of the uniqueness of aviation, but the gravity of the work that we are doing and the possibility or the fear of the possibility of not being able to sustain the U.S. economy moving forward is a very eye-opening reality that most corporations are facing right now. The Boeing company reached out to me and told me personally, 50% of our company will be retiring in the next 15 years. What do you do with that when a global employer like Boeing says we're about to lose half of our people in 15 years? That means that their next generation workforce is in kindergarten through 8th grade, and we need to get them ready.
It's exciting, and it's what's interesting when you talk about that Boeing is now reaching out to you with that realization. It seems like timing is good too, because even back in the day when we were at Aviation, there's the Tuskegee Airmen, the Young Eagles program is wonderful, and speaking at schools. So it seems like there's been programs that maybe give kids a flight or that a 1 hour or even a 15-minute talk about aviation. What seems growing and big and more in depth or substantial with your program is that it goes beyond. You can't just expose kids and say, hey, take a flight and this is really neat, and then expect them to take it on their own from there. And what I see you're doing is really igniting that spark, but then having the program to say, well, now what do you do?
And so that's what sets us apart from most other organizations doing aviation youth programming. It's all about exposure. Those programs are a one-time deal, or you actually go to a 1-week aviation camp, and in most communities, those camps cost between $500 and $1,700 for 1 week. And so we have significantly cut the cost of programming while we've extended the frequency and duration of those programs. It's amazing. So we went from paying from students having to pay $1,700 for a 1-week aviation camp to our students having to pay $0 to $400 for a 6 weeks aviation apprenticeship. That's unbelievable.
Wow. It is unbelievable. And so it makes me imagine now, just as a, as woman to woman, as entrepreneurs, I understand also, like, how do you do that balance? Because your time is a lot, you're traveling, I would imagine. How do you balance the home, the work, life, family, that sort of thing?
Well, it's hard and then it's not hard. I'm very transparent with my children, and my husband and I work really hard to make sure that we are in communication about, who does what, when, laundry, cooking, homework. It all still has to be done. But one of the things that I credit to my children is the fact that the AeroStars program is successful. When my children were young, my oldest was not even 2 years old, and I walked into her bedroom and she had her Disney collection books laid out end to end with one of her toy airplanes on the line of books, and a naked Barbie in the plane, because once you bring Barbie home, her clothes disappears, and to make sure air traffic control tower. And I said, this girl knows what airport planning is because her mom has exposed her to her as her profession. And so I knew that I could teach. If a 2-year-old can grasp the idea that you need a runway, an airplane, a pilot, and air traffic control tower to have an airport, why couldn't you teach kids aviation? And to that extent, most of the programs, if not all of the programs that my children were watching, had something flying in it. Dora had a plane, Snoopy had a plane, Hello Kitty had a plane, the little Einsteins were going on a trip in that little rocket ship, and everything was flying. And in between those children's programs, Boeing was sponsoring commercials. And saying that they wanted to ignite the spark for kids to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. So if it wasn't for my children, I don't believe that the AeroStars program would have been as successful as it is, because they were my first test dummies. And I realized that we could teach kids as young as pre-K aviation and aerospace, basic fundamentals of flight with hot air balloons, kites. So balance for me has been, including my kids in the work that we do now, for the first time, having the resources and the funding through the Boeing grant to actually have a program for my daughter who's in 5th grade. She was in AeroStars for the first time this summer, and I wasn't her instructor, so I wasn't a hovering mom. And she said, "This is AeroStars," and I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "I can't wait to come back." And so my children have been a testament to my work. They've taught me how to be more empathetic and caring to students who learn differently. Both of my children are dynamic learners, but one is academic and the other one is a project-based learner. And so I have 2 kids that I have to teach 2 different ways. One will read the manual in the book, and the other one just wants to do the project. And that's what we are engaging students in our after-school programs that is not accessible through the regular curriculum in today's academic culture. Most teachers teach in lectures. You get very few teachers that are doing project-based learning and have the budget or the time to incorporate activities. So balance for me has found a way to keep me accountable to my family, and to look at how my children learn, to incorporate what I learned from my children into my work, and also to bring my work, know how to leave my work at home and come home and just be mommy. But when I have to go into, serious mode, I have to let them know, you're going to spend a lot of time with grandma and grandpa, because this week it's getting serious. So they were the only children at our fundraiser with all of the corporate executives 2 days ago. And I made them feel welcome, and that I didn't drop them off at the babysitter for one of the biggest events that our company has had. And it was really important for them to see mommy and see the appreciation and the awards and recognition that we get from global brands, and them to know that I'm still mom, and they can come up during the middle of a photo shoot and grab my leg and ask for a kiss.
That is wonderful. That really is It just seems so inspiring for them with you as a role model to be able to see you up on as the center talking about it and bringing all of that together. So is there anything, Tamara, so is there anything I didn't ask you that you think is very important for people to know? I know, of course, as a not-for-profit social business, always looking for people to get involved and supporters, and we'll make sure that we link Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of your social media. I guess we'll say below. We'll do it right below where the video's playing. But is there any one last closing words that you'd like to say about the program and why it's so important for the world?
Well, I believe that I think you said something really key. It is important for the world. One of the reasons why we spent time and were acknowledged to be a part of the Obama Global Summit in Chicago was that Aerostar and the work that we are doing is at the forefront of how to educate and train the next generation professionals. And the model that we're setting can be used in any industry, whether it's math or engineering, robotics, coding, IT. The model is replicatable. So anybody who wants to give, you can give at avioninstitute.org, AVION institute.org. If you want to be a corporate sponsor and get an opportunity to give a scholarship to one of your future employees, you can reach out to me directly, 708-646-4300. And Aerostar is also looking for individuals who want to help develop curriculum, help volunteer, help mentor, and give back in your community, and allow your company to be more socially responsible. If you're looking for more CSR opportunities, Aerostar is the place to come. We have more than enough teens and young people who need mentors, who need field trips, who need opportunities to be able to shine. And even if you just came by to listen to their presentations on the airlines they designed or the aircraft of the future that they conceptualized, we would love to have you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tamara. I'm a huge fan. If I can say it, I'm proud, only because I feel like we've known each other so long. I think the work you're doing is so exciting, and the way that you've been able to, I guess, even monetize it or build it into a business so that it's being taken very seriously moving forward is phenomenal. So congratulations to you, and thank you for all that you're doing, this really important work.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.